Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'm going to be going over the Jump into Middle-earth events on Arena. This is a pretty cool event, and I have a PSA for everybody. If you've been playing Arena for a long time and you've never played a jump-in event, then you quite likely have 5 jump-in tokens in your account. Now, if you've spent them, obviously you won't have them anymore, but the last time that they updated the new player experience, they added in 5 jump-in tokens to the kind of tutorial entry-level games, so that when you're done with the whole new player experience, you can go play some jump-in events and build up your collection with those cards. So now is as great a time as any to go ahead and spend those jump-in tokens if you're interested in collecting some cards from the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth set, because the majority of the packets that you'll be getting in this event, as it is Jump into Middle-earth, are going to have mostly cards from the new Lord of the Rings set. So great time to build your collection from cards from that set, potentially for free, if you've got those leftover jump-in tokens. So really cool event. If you've never played in a jump-in event before, the way that it works is you're going to get your choice out of 3 different 20-card themed packets. You're going to pick one of those, and then it's going to shuffle them up and give you 3 more choices. You're going to pick one of those, and then you're going to shuffle those 2 themes together. So in the original Jumpstart and Jump-in events, there could be themes like cats, dogs, zombies, burn, mill, stuff like that. So you would pick 2 of those decks, and all of a sudden, this is my cat mill deck, or this is my zombie dogs deck, stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool event. It's really easy to just jump in and get playing. So without further ado, let's get in there. So here's where we are going to show off how it works. There's a breakfast deck here, which is going to be all about food tokens, a lot of the hobbits that create foods and get bonuses when you're playing foods. There's an Amass deck in blue-black that's obviously going to be focused around the Amass Orcs mechanic, where you're going to be amassing a very big orc army. And there's a Stalwart deck, which is going to be a green-white deck focused on having the ring tempt you multiple times, so you can turn one of your creatures into a ring bearer and get those extra counters onto it with Aragorn's ability. Something that's pretty cool about Jumpstart, or Jump In, I guess is what it's called on Arena, is that these packs aren't completely randomized. Obviously, they all have their own certain theme, so I will have a link in the description below to the official Wizards article on the different deck lists that you could get. So if there's any specific cards from the set that you want, you can go ahead and look up the deck lists on the official article, and it'll tell you exactly what cards you could get and what the exact odds of opening that card are. For example, every single packet in this jump-in event has a 1% chance of having the One Ring in it, so you could get that into literally any deck. But if you're looking for a specific rare, specific uncommon, you can look through the packets there and pick whichever one has something you're trying to collect. But for me, for today, I'm just going to pick what sounds fun, what sounds cool to me. And I'm going to go for Amass. I really like the amassing an army mechanic a lot. I also like playing a lot of instant and sorcery spells, and that's another thing that's going to go well with the Mouth of Sauron here, because we can mill ourselves after playing a bunch of instants and sorceries to make an even bigger orc army. So I'm going to take the Amass packet and go from there. And for our second choices, we now have Insight, with Saruman the White as the featured card, probably about casting 2 spells in 1 turn. We've got Sauron's deck, featuring March from the Black Gate, quite likely another Amass deck focused on getting a bunch of orc armies. And then Adorned, which is focused around moving counters all over the board with cards like Goldberry. So clearly, starting off with Amass, we're going to go for Sauron's Amass deck here with March from the Black Gate. So scoop that up, check out our deck list, see what we've got, and hop into a little bit of gameplay. So here is the deck that we got. We can go ahead and see what rares came in our packets. We got a Sauron's Ransom. That is 1 a blue and a black for a pretty good draw spell. Lets your opponents make 2 piles out of your top 4 cards, 1 face down and 1 face up, and you choose one of those piles to put into your hand, which is pretty cool. We've also got Sauron the Necromancer himself, so those are our 2 rares. They're pretty nice ones as well. Sauron the Necromancer, very fun card. If you make Sauron the Ring Bearer, then you get to just spit out 3/3 menacing wraiths, and they'll stay on the board forever every time this attacks. So if it's not the Ring Bearer, then you just spit out a Wraith temporarily. Either way, very cool card, and this looks like it's going to be a super synergistic deck. We have plenty of great Amass cards. We have the Mouth of Sauron. We have the Torment of Gollum. We've got some trebuchets flinging boulders at our opponent's face as we're amassing armies. We've got March from the Black Gate, making our army bigger. Mordor Mustard to get it started. Orcish Medicine to protect it. Tons of really good synergistic stuff going here, so pretty fun deck to go ahead and play it out. And in this event, you're only going to get one extra reward that's just one uncommon, and you play as much as you want. So if you really like your deck and you just want to keep playing, you can. But also, if you just want to collect your cards, if you have those 5 jump-in tokens and you don't want to play the event, you can just spend the token resign, spend the token resign, spend the token resign, and just get the packets that you want to try to get the cards you're trying to collect. So that's the big PSA I really wanted to get out there. For players that have not been playing any jump-in events, have not been staying in tune with all of the random extra events, just this is a great little event to collect some of the random little legendaries and stuff from Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, to build some historic brawl decks around and stuff like that. But I am going to play this out. I'm going to play one game with our Amass Sauron's deck, hopefully just one game, because if I win immediately, then boom, we're done, we're good. But we'll see. We'll take it as long as it needs to go to get the victory here. Here we are for our opening hand. You do get a free mulligan in Jump-In, and we are going to take that free mulligan since we are monocolored. And this is much better. We got a dual land with the Dismal Backwater. So we've got both our colors, and we get to get things started with the March from the Black Gate, which is great. I don't think I'm going to need to claim the Precious turn 3, so I'm going to try to roll things out consistently, just slamming things down as quickly as possible. So we go Haunt the Dead Marshes, then March from the Black Gate, then I'll play Backwater and Orcish Medicine on turn 3. I think that's the plan. If we need to claim the Precious, I can still do it on turn 3. If I hit any other land, and then I can just play the Backwater on turn 4. Play our March from the Black Gate, and I'll definitely offer the trade of Haunt of the Dead Marshes for the Mana Dork, since that has a good ability from the graveyard. We have drawn another 2 mana option, so we've got 2 different things we could do if we don't play Dismal Backwater. Well, if we have to play Dismal Backwater. There's a Galadrim Guide from our opponent, so they're on green-red. They've got a Mana Dork to get things going. They've got a 3/4 for a good blocker against our army to slow us down. Ambush is pretty nice. We can turn this into a 3/4 after they block, because it gets +1/+1 from the March, +1/+2, so it will survive getting blocked by the 3/4, and it'll kill the 3/4 because of Death Touch. So that is likely the play for the turn. We'll get our tap land out of the way as well, since we don't have another land to play this turn. If our opponent chooses not to block, we've got other options. We can just play our 2/2 Legend, which is good too. But they do choose to block, so we will ambush the guide, eat it up, turn it into a food token. There's a Mirkwood Spider from our opponent. The spiders have betrayed us. We wrapped up some food and they went on to the opposing team. Brandywine Farmer, so a lot of food for them now. That makes a food when it hits the board and when it leaves the battlefield. When it enters or leaves. There's our 4th land, pretty good one here. We could play a Medicine and a Core Bag now. So I can Medicine to get the Death Toucher out of the way. That seems fine by me. Seems better to me than spending a removal spell like Claim the Precious on it. I'd rather spend the Combat Trick. No blocks. Okay, then we don't have to spend the Combat Trick, and we can go ahead and play our little Orc Soldier and play our Mana Dork. We've got a great blocker for the spider, so we're only worried about it when it's attacking us. Peregrine Took's a very fun card. That's going to double up their food production. Well, if they make any tokens, not necessarily even just food. If they make a 1/1 human or something, they get another food. So that can get a lot of tokens going. And they're going to attack with everybody here. They're just going in. All right, we'll take the trade there. We'll eat the rest of the board. They'll get some food here. which means they have enough to sack 3 food and draw a card off of Peregrine. But we're clearing out their board here. We've still got a pretty big army that's going to keep getting bigger. Feels like we're in a great position to take over this game and wrap up our first victory nice and quickly. Alright, we hit a land. Not incredible, but it lets us play Claim the Precious and Orcish Medicine, which is nice. And I think I will go ahead and just get Peregrine Took out of the way. They can't draw any cards. Just make a legendary orc army, why not? Send in the squad. Start dealing a lot of damage here. They're down to 9. I am not going to sacrifice either of my goblin or my orc. I guess they're both orcs. Yeah, Gorbag's an orc soldier. But I won't be sacking my army or my legendary Gorbag. Let's do the conies. Well, that doesn't do anything, actually. There's 1 damage to my 4/4. About to give it indestructible, and then I was like, well, it's not going to die, so yeah. Opponent is just going to scoop them up there. But seeing our opponent's deck there, that is a great example. Delighted Halfling, excellent, excellent rare that can go into pretty much any green historic brawl deck. So if you're looking for some sweet stuff out of Lord of the Rings and you haven't spent jump-in tokens, just scoop up some of these packs. You can get some good cards in them, especially when you can know pretty much exactly what you're going to get by looking up the packet contents on the Wizard site. So that was a game with the Amass Sauron's deck, but I'm going to keep playing. I think we'll do all 5 of my jump-in tokens because, again, it's probably the best jump-in event they've done in terms of collecting cards from a specific set. Every other jump-in event that they've ever done has been cards from tons of different sets. This still has some cards available that aren't from Lord of the Rings, but the vast majority of the cards you're going to get in this event are Lord of the Rings cards. If you're trying to collect this set, it's the best time to spend your jump-in tokens. So we've already done the Sauron's deck. So now we have Rallying in white, which has Gandalf White Rider as the rare. A 4-mana 3/3 Vigilance. When you cast a spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 till end of turn, and you scry one. When Gandalf dies, put it into its library 5th from the top. That is super sweet. I think I'm going to go for the Gandalf deck. No idea what's in the wild packet. It's just showing us the removal spell, which isn't that exciting. Plus, the way that jump-in works, it's always going to try to make sure you have a 2-color deck on average. So if you take a red-green deck, then all the packets you see on your next are going to be red or green packets, similar to how last time we took the blue-black deck, and then our 3 options were blue or black. If I take a monocolored deck, like the Gandalf deck, then I could see like a blue deck, a black deck, and a red deck. We can see more variety that way. So we'll take the Rallying packet. Yeah, so now we see a green deck and we see a white deck. So we can go green-white with Rallying and Stalwart. We can have Aragorn and Gandalf in the same deck. That's pretty sweet. I'm probably going to go for that. We can also go humans if I want to do some red-white aggro nonsense. And we could go for the Shire, which is going to be the green version of the food deck. It's going to have a lot of halflings and a lot of stuff that makes food. So if you get Breakfast and Shire together, you just have a really good green-white food deck going. But we'll take Stalwart here. We'll go for some of the iconic characters from Lord of the Rings. Check out our rares here, see what we've got, because again, we're probably only playing 1 or 2 games, so we're not likely to see our whole deck anyway. We've got the Gandalf White Rider. We've got the Aragorn. Those are the rares, but do we get anything else super sweet? Any cool uncommons or anything? We got a Frodo. Pretty nice. Frodo comes in the same deck with the Aragorn. That's very cool. Anything else cool? Landroval's kind of neat. Samwise is great. Like getting a Samwise here. Just even more members of the Fellowship of the Ring. That's pretty cute. Alright. Yeah, we'll go for it. Let's get into the gameplay here. Alright, our opponent is on the play. We've got multiple combat tricks and only 1 creature, which can be pretty awkward. So I'm going to take our free mulligan here. I'm not going to take anything super bad to get me to mulligan when I have a free mulligan, because free is free. We got to get that value. This hand isn't too much better. It's pretty similar. Not that I have a bunch of combat tricks with just 1 creature, but that I had a Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin with just 1 creature. Now we've drawn into another creature, which is great, and we drew into a 2-mana play. Scry 1, draw a card. Shortcut to mushrooms. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield, get a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Interesting, but real slow. I think I'm going to ditch that for now. As another 2-mana play that I'm not going to play for a while. I'm probably going to play Cavalier or the Guardian here, and then just keep playing creatures for a little bit. There's an Easterling Vanguard. We got a Knight of the New Coalition, so... Again, there are cards that aren't from Lord of the Rings in here. It looks like these all came from the mono white deck, I imagine. But most of the cards are going to be Lord of the Rings cards. And again, you can check all of the deck lists at the link in the description below to the official article. And you'll know exactly if you're going to be getting a bunch of non-Lord of the Rings cards if you look up the deck lists. I'm just keeping it interesting because I'm already going to be collecting most of the set just from drafting regardless. So I'll just be grabbing whatever packets look cool to me. So there's a Dunlin Crebain, our opponent on some mono black Amass stuff. They've got a lot of green going on as well, but we haven't seen what the green half of their deck can do. So far looks like they are very good at making some orc armies. Ooh, Eagles of the North is a big finisher when you have a lot of creatures on board, giving everybody +1/+0 first strike. Let's just keep going wide so that Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin is as strong as possible. Everybody's going to be out here playing Lord of the Rings cards, and I'm just dropping a bunch of Dominar United, March the Machine. It is what it is. Got to get a wide board state to make the Lord of the Rings card look even better. Giving our whole board a +1/+1 counter and Vigilance. Definitely a stronger card when we have more creatures on the board, so we're focused on that right now. If I draw another land, I can spend 3 mana for the Envelope and 3 mana to play the Guardian, which is great. And that'll set me up to play the Eagles the turn after that, to get a big first strike attack in with everybody. And then we can play Now for Wrath the turn after that. That would be the dream curve. Envelope, Guardian next turn, then Eagles, then Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin. Alright, Skyfisher Spider's going to hit the board, it's going to sack the Crebain, and it's going to blow up our Cavalier or our Knight of the New Coalition. They're going to choose the Knight of the New Coalition. This also gains them a little bit of life when it dies, and it has reach, so it can block our Eagles. So pretty good card overall. Could 1-for-1 trade here, because I trade with that, and then they just make the army a 3/3. My buff spells get a bit weaker, but they kind of already do when they've got more creatures and bigger creatures on board. I think I'm cool with the trade. We draw into a solid combat trick here. I don't really want to land cycle the Eagles because they're going to be great when we hit 6 mana, which we're technically only 1 mana away from as soon as we get this on the board. This only works with legendaries, blocking or blocked. If I play the Envelope here, then I turn one of these into a legendary creature that they currently can't block, so I get 2 damage in. But then also I could block, and then you cannot pass on anything I need to kill. So that seems solid. And if I don't need to play anything, I can just eat my Lembas. And if I need to stop a removal spell, I can play Bombadil's Song to give hexproof. So this feels pretty flexible here. I like this a good amount. Okay, does this exile? No, it just destroys. Not incredible. I still do want to kill the Orc army now that they have a Trebuchet down, flinging boulders at me while their Orc army comes in, so we'll block like that. And then we will, you cannot pass, Orc army. Get out of here. Take our 5 damage. We are down to 15. And now we don't have to worry about any boulders coming our way until they amass again. And there's the land for us to have 6 mana here. Not that Eagles does a ton. I guess it lets us attack with both. They block one of them and take 3. Yeah, it's fine. Then we have a flyer down. They need to hold the Skyfisher back. The ring bearer status of the knight doesn't matter much anymore now that they have a 1/4 defender. because that will always have less power than our 2-power knight, which means it can always block it. The ring bearer gets past any creatures with greater power than it, so it sneaks on by with the invisibility, as long as it's small enough. If you've got an 8/8 orc army that's invisible, most creatures are going to be able to know that there's a giant orc army coming through and find a block there. Uh-oh. Combat trick to blow up our vigilant knight. Yep. Fair enough. Now we'll need to have the ring tempt us again if we want to get another ring bearer, but we've got plenty ways to do that. Now for Wrath, now for Ruin, and Bombadil's Song. The Guardian does it too when it dies, but that's going to be a while. It's not even on the board yet. There's a Haunt of the Dead Marshes. Very good if you've got a legendary on board, because it can keep coming back from the graveyard. Scrying one again. One of the better variations of like Relentless Skeleton and stuff they've made lately. These little zombies and skeletons that just keep coming back from the grave. They're going to send in the spider. Alright, we'll take it. That means the Eagles of the North gets in. Sure. We will be down to 12. Alright. Ooh, a Rangers. As soon as I draw another land, I can play that, play a land, and immediately get a trigger. I guess that's only if I don't control a ring bearer, and I'm gonna have the ring tempt us this turn. I guess I maybe don't have to. Because I could play Guardian and just hold up the Bombadil's Song trick. And the ring doesn't tempt us unless the Guardian dies, so I could still get the Ranger's value next turn. This seems okay with me. If they attack with the spider again, though, I'm gonna take that trade. That is worth it, even if it loses a little bit of value from the Rangers. The way the Rangers work is they're only going to have the ring tempt us if we don't control a ring bearer. Rise of the Witch King. Well, I think I sacked Cavalier, so I still have a creature big enough to trade into the spider. But that's going to be good. They pick up any creature from their grave, so they get the Kerbane back, get the army back. That is very good. We are kind of losing here. Opponent's got a pretty great board state there, certainly in the lead right now. We could still try to work something out here over time, but we're under pressure. I feel like I have to take the trade here and then just eat my food. Makes our Rangers a little weaker, but that's fine. Okay, if they don't attack, then cool. We can just eat the food, and if we do hit a land, then Rangers does pop off. Does get the landfall trigger. We do get the land, so now we can play the Rangers, drop a land, have the song up. I guess we already have the song up without the land, but we'll like extra have Bombadil's Song mana. Make the Eagles the ring bearer, because I'd like to have Guardian on blocks. They probably block with Spider, and then I have the Bombadil's Song to save it. Let's get our draw and discard. Probably discarding now for Wrath, now for Ruin. Their board is just always so big that it's looking pretty weak. If we hit a land, we can just discard the land. That makes it easy. But if we hit anything, any non-land card, most would probably be better than now for Wrath, now for Ruin. Although that would be the 4th Temptation of the Ring. So that would get us all the way to where we're dealing an extra 3 damage to our opponent anytime we hit them, which would be pretty scary. They are going to go for the block here. Let's go ahead and save our Eagles of the North. Level it up to a level 3 ring bearer. And then if we don't hit anything better to do, we can now for Wrath, now for Ruin. Level 4 ring bearer. Oh my god. Alright, their deck has an unfun amount of combat tricks. And the way that this works is we leveled up to level 3 after they declared the block, so we don't even make them sacrifice the spider. I think this ambush just wins them the game, actually, because now we're down to 2 creatures and a Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin in hand, which is super bad. Should have put the ring on one of these, but it doesn't really matter until attacks, when I can cast this and put the ring on them anyway. I put it on the Eagles of the North just in case it would still make them sack the blocker, but I was pretty confident. The time for the trigger already ended. That was like, well, just in case it still works. Just in case we still kill the spider by having this be our ring bearer. Alright. Luckily their army is not big enough to attack into the rangers, so we have a little bit of time to try to draw into something. And we can use the Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin. Because I think I would rather do that than play the land to have the ring tempt us. So I can draw and discard the land. This way we get some counters on the board, then draw and discard without tapping our creature. The other line would be play the Blossoming Sands and then make one of these the ring bearer and then tap it. But this way they kind of have to trade, or else I still have it up on blocks. So they are going to trade the Recluse into the Guardian, which means then the ring goes onto the Rangers. Then we get to play a Frodo, put the ring onto Frodo. Because Frodo's pretty hard to block. Got a lot of ring shenanigans going on, which is good. They're out of cards in their hand, by the way. They only have the Haunt of the Dead Marshes in their graveyard, and they have no legends on board, so they don't find a way to clear out the Rangers. They just chip in for 1 damage a turn. Rangers blocks everything. We start getting in with Frodo. Frodo gives us the draw discard every turn as well. Let's do it, Frodo. Because they can't kill Frodo when Frodo's our ring bearer. A 1/3, they would need 3 1-power creatures on board, and they'd have to triple block Frodo. Well, they've got 3 1-power creatures, but if they triple block Frodo, because our ring is level 4, we'll make them sacrifice all 3 creatures. Frodo has to be blocked, right? Look at all that extra text. Legendary can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. When it attacks, draw a card, discard. When it becomes blocked, they have to sack the creature. When it deals combat damage to them, they lose 3. Frodo must be blocked, so they have to block with at least one of these 2, but they don't have to block Frodo with both of them. So we get to kill at least one of these here. Oh, and we draw into Samwise, just in case something goes wrong. Plus, Samwise is an instant speed way to move the ring around, which is pretty fancy. Instant speed creature for the ring to tempt us. Technically twice, doesn't matter since we're already level 4. But Frodo, since a legendary enters the battlefield, the ring tempts us, and then Samwise says the ring tempts us when Samwise enters the battlefield. So ring tempting shenanigans is really turning things around in the late game. Our opponent has had the beefier board state, but we've just got a scary ring bearer. They're going to keep chipping away with the flyer. They're sending in the spider as well. If they do have the combat trick again to blow up our rangers, we have the Samwise to put our rangers back into our hand. So I will go for the block. Take our 1 damage in the sky. They gain 5 life when it dies. If they exile it from their graveyard, they are going to exile it. They might have just wanted the life gain, but I think the trade is still good for me. I would just kill it, let them gain 5. We still keep everything on our board. Take over with this. We're taking 1 damage a turn. We have 12 turns to find a win. Ooh, choking miasma's the line. Alright. Pretty smart. Kill the rangers post-combat. They lose their bat too, though, and I have the Samwise. This is going to be a bad time for our opponent when they see we had the Samwise. That kind of just reverses that into just being in our favor. Because now their bat's gone, but we still have the Rangers on blocks. They won't be able to attack this turn, but that's fine. We just need it as a blocker against the 3/3 dork. Draw a card, discard a card, discarding planes. Kill the snare spinner. Opponent is down to a 3/3 army, and that's it. They've got the Haunt in the graveyard, but no legends. We'll drop our Rangers and pass the turn. Possibly even getting it to a position where we get to attack with the 4/4. Yeah, that Ring Bearer has been so much gas here because now we've even been able to just keep drawing and discarding, make sure that we keep hitting action, keep hitting some good stuff. Grond is spooky. 5/5 Trampler. They don't even have to crew it as long as they control an army. It's just going to be a 5/5 during their turn on attacks. Okay. So Frodo gets in, makes them lose 4 life. The Rangers can't get in because they can crew the Grond on blocks and have a 5/5 blocker. So I think we just attack with Frodo. I could try to do some fancy slip on the rings stuff, but I'd rather just save it. And chip at them with Frodo for 4 damage a turn. And it works out well because now we have our 5 mana up to play our big flyer. And we can probably attack for lethal in 2 turns. Because with Landroval, if we attack with 2 or more creatures, we give 1 creature flying till end of turn. So we can give the 4/4 flying, hit for 7 in the sky, make sure Frodo hits them as well for 4 on the ground, hit for 11 damage. Not quite enough to kill them, but it'll put them down to 3 life. They eat the food, they're at basically 6. We can definitely kill them in 2 attacks. They're gonna send in with the Grond. Alright, I'll take 5, go to 7. Steel Exemplar is the draw. Well, it's a 6/6, I guess. Probably keep it. Discard Slip on the Ring. Ooh, big old Treefolk. Yeah, I'll discard the ring here. We're down to 3. We'll see what they draw into. They might be able to find a way to kill us out of nowhere. We've got a 6/6 blocker for Grond, a 2/1 chump blocker for the army. Even if they have like 1 removal spell here, they blow up the Exemplar, and then we still chump block the army and take 6. So we're still alive. And they just have a Golem, Patient Plotter, which is a solid card, but it is not going to be enough to save them from Landroval and Frodo attacking, hitting them for 7 damage in the sky. You're on to a Stalwarts of Osgoliath, but it doesn't really matter. We've already got our lethal attack all set up. Send it on in. Discard the Shortcut to Mushrooms, hit for lethal. Sorry, Stalwarts of Osgiliath. For the mispronunciation of your beautiful name. Alright, that is another victory. That was a pretty cool deck that had many members of the Fellowship, so that was pretty cool. Flavorfully. Didn't love how it played out at the start, but it just slowly but surely turns things around, grinding it out with that ring bearer mechanic, drawing and discarding, making sure that we always had action. Good stuff. Didn't get to play our cool Gandalf, but not a bad deck. Another uncommon reward is a Golem's Bite. And let's open up another packet with our third jump-in token. We've got a Treefolk deck, we've got a tokens deck in black-white, and we've got an adorned deck for moving counters around in blue, which is probably the weirdest of the archetypes, the most interesting that we have seen so far. So we've done blue-black, we've done green-white. The only color we haven't played so far is red, and none of these are red. If I take a tokens deck, I don't get to play any red cards, so could take Adorned trying to be blue-red, could take Treefolk trying to be green-red. Go for some green-red beats here, take Treefolk. And there we go, we got the Wild deck, so we can go green-red off that. There's also Greedy, get Lobelia Sackville Baggins, or Insight and get Saruman the White. Let's just go for our Wild deck, though. Green-red beat sticks. Treefolk Wild is the deck name. Oh no, Fangorn's in the Treefolk deck. So we're going to have a big 7 mana, 4/10 vigilance. I guess we probably have enough Treefolk that it actually does some other stuff. But normally in like Draft and Sealed, it's not super good. Got a Gimli Mournful Avenger, which is also a card that doesn't do a lot of stuff. But hey, it's Gimli. It's Gimli. We've got some great mana dorks. 2 Pathfinders and an Elysian Caryatid. Woodland Mystic. We've got a lot of mana ramp here. This is going to be fun. We just make some big Treefolk. We have 2 Quick Beam as well. With like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Treefolk in the deck? Okay, this could be pretty sweet. We got big ways to close out the game, giving things +2/+2 trample like all the time. Strider gives the +1/+1 first strike. This looks sweet. Treefolk Wild, let's get in there. I wish you could rearrange the name around. Make it Wild Treefolk. I'll probably do that when I make the chapters in the video title. Or in the video description, I guess. Alright, here we are on the play. We've got a turn 2 mana dork. We've got a dual land and both our colors. Snap keep. Let's just ramp into some big Treefolk. Slap our opponent in the face with trees. It's like the start of God of War in here. Just rip a tree out of the ground and start smacking them with it. We're gonna have a turn 4, 4/5 trample. Mana dorks are just awesome. Our opponent is on blue-white. Oh, hey, Gimli. Gimli, you're cool. Don't do a lot here, but you're Gimli. Play around a trick. This Pathfinder is really important, so I don't want them to have something like that. Resolute Reinforcements, 2/1/1s instant speed, kill our mana dork. That would have been horrible. Alright, I'm getting a little scared here. Our opponent has a wide board state quickly. If they have cards like Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin that we had before, where they, Ringbearer doesn't matter too much right now. I'm going to be tapping the Pathfinder every turn, and they have tons of 1-power creatures, so the Can't Be Blocked really just doesn't do anything. So I don't think it matters where we put it. I'm just going to put it on Gimli for flavor, I guess. We're going to let Gimli hold the ring for a bit. Choose some iconic characters. Yeah, if our opponent has some of those buff the whole board cards, we're about to have a bad time. Do I send in a 6/7? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I think I do. Kill a lot of creatures with it. Alright, boom! 6 damage. Lembas. Scry 1, draw a card. They can also eat the food, shuffle it back into their deck, and gain 3 life. Mesa Cavalier, they have a flyer now to beat us down with, but our Treefolk are too big for the rest of their nonsense. play a Gimli's Axe and make our Quick Beam 3 extra power and Menace. They already have to block it with more than one creature anyway, so the Menace doesn't matter too much. I could also put Gimli's Axe on Gimli for the flavor win, but then they block Gimli with 2/1/1s, and that's pretty bad for me. So I think I could put it on the Trampler too. But Trampler trades into a 3/2 and a 2/2. This is what, 3/2, 2/2, 1/1. I'm gonna put it on Quick Beam, send Quick Beam in. Because I want them to kill Quick Beam so I can play another one if I don't find the land for Fangorn. Eagles of the North. That is one of those big board buff abilities I was talking about. That could be absolutely explosive. My Treefolk can kill one of their creatures. Oh, they're just going to hit me in the sky then. That's fair. I was going to say the Treefolk can kill one, but my other blocks are pretty bad. Would leave them with less blockers. Yeah, they're just going to try to kill us in the sky. We'll send in Quick Beam again. Obviously can't play the other one until the first is gone, and I don't have the mana for Fangorn. Double Chump. Okay. Drop a Woodland Mystic so I could play Fangorn next turn. They'll banish the Quick Beam. Okay, well now I can play another Quick Beam. Eat the food, gain 3 life, shuffle it back in, keep hitting us with flyers. They hit us for 5 a turn now, so they kill us in 4 attacks. With the Esquire the King, they could start hitting harder, giving the board +1/+1, kill us in 2 more attacks after this. 1 piece of life gain does not change the fact that they kill us in 2 attacks with Esquire. I think I need to play another Quick Beam before I play Fangorn, because I need to get the double pump trigger here going. I gotta pressure them hard to outrace these flyers. They have to chump at least a little bit here to not just insta-die. They're gonna chump with Esquire. Uh-oh. If they've got an alternate card to give the whole board +1/+1 till end of turn, that might get close to lethal. Now for Wrath, now for Ruin would be that. That's gonna leave them with enough toughness to block and not die, potentially? No. If I play Fangorn, if Quick Beam survives this turn and I play Fangorn, then they will definitely die. So, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I barely survive. Barely. And then we kill them on the crackback here by playing another Treefolk, getting trampled to the board. Close game of Magic. Close game. There's the concession. 1 life to 3 life. That was a fun one. I like that a lot. Ramp into some big Treefolk, slam them down. I'm liking all these decks. I just love how the set plays in general. Love these mechanics and cards and stuff. Big fan. That was deck number 3. Let's resign it up and hop into a 4th deck, shall we? Well, we've done Wild. We haven't done Insight or Tokens. Now I have played at least a little bit of every color, so I can do kind of whatever I want. Insight seems interesting, playing 2 spells in 1 turn, but Tokens is great too, slamming down a bunch of tokens, getting a wide board state, trying to go super quick, super aggressive. I'm gonna go for the Insight though. Let's try going for double spell shenanigans and crazy stuff. We've got Elves for scrying, and as we are scrying, we can get some bonus abilities going. We have the Shire for a bunch of food tokens. We have Moria, probably for a bunch of red Amass cards. I like how Swarming of Moria could play in a deck that's trying to cast 2 spells in 1 turn. So I'm going to try to go for like a blue-red spells deck here with the Moria packet. Because just having a leftover treasure token for later could be good. Let's see what we've got. There and back again is our rare from the red packet, which is a really cool one where you get to make a smog token, which is going to beat down with haste and makes 14 treasures when it dies. That's pretty sweet. For the blue rare, we've got Rangers of Ithilien, which is a very strong card. You get to steal an opposing creature as long as you control the Rangers. So, pretty strong stuff from the rares in general. A lot of ring temps, a little bit of scry, some card draw, a little bit of Amass even in the blue deck, which is nice. To go with the red Amass cards. It's pretty good. Bill Ferny's pretty bad, but a lot of cool stuff going on in general. Some good burn spells, some great Amass cards like Book of Mazarbul and Grishnak. Cool deck. Cool deck. Alright, the symbol shows that we've already gotten the uncommon, but it says 0 out of 1, so I think we're still going to get a prize for winning here. That's just a little visual glitch, hopefully. Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough. Let's head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play with one of our most aggressive hands that we've had the whole time, so that's pretty sweet. Probably play the Battle-Scarred Goblin first, because it's hardest to block. Plus, we've seen that one of the black-white decks is a token deck, and the Goblin's really good against tokens, because they will just immediately die when they block it. They don't even get to deal damage. I'd love to Grishnak here, but if I Grishnak without stealing something that is definitely weaker. I'm trying to get to 4 mana for Gimli, so let's Lorien Revealed for the Island Cycle, play that, and then play a 2-drop. Just guarantee that we hit all our land drops. I'll play Flamesmith over Bill Ferny. I think its ability is more impactful than Bill's, just getting treasures. Because I'm never going to control a horse, so it's just a 2 mana 2/1 that makes a treasure when it dies, basically, when they block and kill it. Unless they kill it without blocking, then it's just a 2 mana 2/1 that does nothing. Cool. Let's drop a Gimli. So as they trade off their creatures, they're taking a damage, and Gimli's also a trampler. So that's pretty big. Another Scoured Barons, a lot of incidental life gain for them. There's a Dunlin Crebain for some token production. Get that Orc army down. 1/1 flyer in an Orc army. I don't like that they could trade their 1/1 flyer into my 2/1 Flamesmith. But we'd clear out some of their board with that, so I think I could still find to borrow their army to hit for more damage. And we just got a huge board state here. We're just super aggressive. We hit for 9 damage if they trade with the Flamesmith, and 10 if they don't. 9 damage it is. They are down to 9 life. They could definitely recover. We're out of spells now. Ungle Patrol's a great card to recover here. A 4/5 blocker walls off our biggest creature, and it can start giving them more life and draw them cards with that food token production as they sack cards. So I really don't have great attacks here. I could still attack with everybody, in which case they'd kill Gimli for free, trade our armies off probably, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be a reasonable attack if we had a lot of burn spells that deal 4 to our opponent, but we only have 1 burn spell. So I think I have to draw into something to try to turn this around. The problem is that they've got a ton of cards in hand still, so if we don't find a kill in a turn or two, they're just going to play too many cards and we're never going to get in again. Yep, here's an Eagles of the North now. Whoa, that's bold. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think we just attack with everybody and win then. I mean, I haven't done the math, but math is for blockers. It's close. If I don't win, then I die. We'll see. They block Gimli, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because the trample, that's exact lethal. If they block a 2/2, they take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Exact lethal. Literally exactly dead. However they block. because of Trample plus Gimli trigger. Yeah, because these will die at the same time, so Gimli will see that creature die. Boom. Another really, really close game. 1 damage from that game going much differently. So we are grabbing our uncommon reward from our blue-red deck now. Didn't get to do any double spell stuff with the Insight Moria deck. We kind of just played blue-red aggro, but it is what it is. And we get a gore bag of Minas Morgul. Cool stuff. We've got 1 final jump in token to spend. Let's turn it into some brand new cards, shall we? We've got the Horde deck that features the Fires of Mount Doom. Alright, I'm not going to be able to resist that. 3 mana. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and you destroy all equipment attached to it. For 3 mana, you can exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. When you do, it deals 2 to each player. Each player, so including you? Weird. So it's a removal spell, and then it's like card draw that keeps shooting everybody. That's cool. I mean, it's the Fires of Mount Doom just sounds cool, so I'm going to go for that. I'm going to go for Horde, and we could go mono red and play Moria again. We could also go red-white Horde humans aggro. I feel like red-white aggro would be the stronger deck, plus we've already played Moria before, so let's go red-white Horde humans here. I don't think that Adorned is going to work super well. Goldberry counter moving around with a really aggressive Horde style deck, so red-white Horde humans is the deck, and humans gives us Eowyn Fearless Knight as the rare. Super, super strong card. 4 mana, 3/4 haste, exile your opponent's biggest creature, and give your legendaries protection till end of turn from that creature's color. This thing's insane. Theoden's also ridiculous, giving double strike to things every time you're playing humans. The Horde deck has like raid bombardment shenanigans going on, which is really good with the human deck, because the human deck has 1/1 humans, like Rally at the Hornburg. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a sweet, sweet deck. Obviously, the red rare is Fires of Mount Doom. All right, unfortunately, with our 5 jump-in packs, we did not hit that 1% chance of opening the One Ring. It is in every single pack at a 1% chance, but RIP, no the One Ring for us. Here we are with our red-white Horde humans deck. This is kind of a slow hand for this deck specifically, but it's still pretty powerful. We have big endgame stuff with Erkenbrand giving the board +1/+0 every time we play a human. Shadowfax dumping any extra creatures onto the battlefield for free. So we'll roll with it here. And I do still get things started on turn 2 with the Eastmark Cavalier. Our opponent has a turn 2 Westfold Rider. There's a raid bombardment for us, which is pretty bad against Westfold Rider, because if it's going to be a big deal, they can just sack the Rider and kill it. And currently, it's not going to do anything. I guess it'll chip in for a little bit of Cavalier damage, but it doesn't do anything with Erkenbrand and Shadowfax. I suppose I might as well still play it on turn 3, because if they want to sacrifice the Westfold Rider to kill it, then we get rid of a Westfold Rider, so that is a fine deal. Ooh. Never mind. If we draw into a Theoden, we play a Theoden, and now our curve is ridiculous. Because we're going to be giving a creature double strike these next 2 turns if they don't kill Theoden. And we're going Theoden into Erkenbrand, which is like the 1-2 punch. That's just absurd. Whenever we play a human, all of our creatures get +1/+0, and one of them gets double strike. These cards are nasty. There's an Argivian Cavalier. They're just going to send the Westfold Rider into the sky. Hit us for 4. If they waited till they declared the attack, they could have had the Westfold Rider up on blocks. Give Theoden double strike so they can't kill Theoden on blocks, but I'll still attack with both of these. I'm fine with them trading Cavalier for Cavalier. We drew into Rally at the Hornburg. So again, if neither of our legends die, getting 2 humans onto the board next turn, both with haste, is going to be ridiculous. Our whole board will get +2/+0. 2 of our creatures will get double strike. It's going to be an absurd attack, and we'll have a combat trick up still. Raid Bombardment would actually do nothing next turn, because all of our creatures would be at least 3 power, which is too big for Raid Bombardment to trigger. They play an Eowyn Fearless Knight. None of our creatures have more power than Eowyn, so Eowyn doesn't do anything here, which is nice for us. She's still a 3/4, which is strong, but I think we are just going to find lethal next turn. Maybe not quite lethal, but it's going to be insane. It's probably lethal. If I escape from Orthanc on a double striker, it's definitely lethal. So we'll do that. Rally at the Hornburg. Whatever our biggest creature is, we give that double strike. So Erkenbrand is our biggest creature. That's the one that we're going to give flying to. Attack with everybody. Flying, untap Erkenbrand, and they're super dead. This is just ridiculous. Yeah, that's a few points of damage. A few points of damage there. Well, that's going to be our victory with our Horde of Humans. A very, very sweet deck. Just love that archetype in draft in general. You have to have the Theodens and the Erkenbrands, but those cards are so dumb, especially together like we saw there. And for our next uncommon reward, we get a Gandalf Sanction, another really fun card to draft around, where you try to build a deck with like 20 instants and sorceries, just a couple creatures. Super, super fun stuff. We will resign again. I will double check that I'm not bad at math. It turns out I am not. We have used all 5 of our jump-in tokens and got a bunch of sweet new cards from the Lord of the Rings set. So that is going to end the Jump into Middle-earth event. Pretty fun stuff. If you have not spent your jump-in tokens yet, this is probably as good as it's going to get, because most of the time, as I said before, the jump-in event is a collection of cards from just everything on Arena. So you have less specific control over what cards you're going to get. With this event, you know you're going to be getting Lord of the Rings cards, and you can kind of just pick what kinds of Lord of the Rings archetypes and cards you want to pick up. So definitely, if you haven't spent those jump-in tokens yet, and you want Lord of the Rings cards, I think it's a very solid event, especially when you can do it 5 times for free. But that's going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.